بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله نور السماوات والأرض، مثل نوره كمشكاة فيها مصباح، المصباح في زجاجة، الزجاجة كأنها كوكب دري يوقد من شجرة مباركة زيتونة لا شرقية ولا غربية، يكاد زيتها يضيء ولو لم تمسسه نار، نور على نور، يهدي الله لنوره من يشاء، ويضرب الله الأمثال للناس والله بكل شيء عليم. في بيوت أذن الله أن ترفع ويذكر فيها اسمه يسبح له فيها بالغدو والآصال، رجال لا تلهيهم تجارة ولا بيع عن ذكر الله وإقام الصلاة وإيتاء الزكاة، يخافون يوما تتقلب فيه القلوب والأبصار، ليجزيهم الله أحسن ما عملوا ويزيدهم من فضله، والله يرزق من يشاء بغير حساب. والذين كفروا أعمالهم كسراب بقيعة يحسبه الظمآن ماء حتى إذا جاءه لم يجده شيئا ووجد الله عنده فوفاه حسابه، والله سريع الحساب. أو كظلمات في بحر اللج يغشاه موج من فوقه سحاب، ظلمات بعضها فوق بعض، إذا أخرج يده لم يكد يراها، ومن لم يجعل الله له نورا فما له من نور. صدق الله العظيم.
ما شاء الله. How old?
10.
How many siparas?
21.
MashaAllah. Hamad is 10 and he's done 21 siparas, MashaAllah. Hafiz. Allah help him complete, inshallah. MashaAllah.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. دوشي पढ़ लीजिए. तेरी हर अदा है प्यारी, तेरी शान खाक सारी, तेरे जुल्फ़े अंबरी पर हो निसार बेकरारी, तेरी हर अदा है प्यारी, तेरी शान खाके सारी, तेरे जुल्फ़े अंबरी पर हो निसार बेकरारी, हो निसार बेकरारी, تیرے در کی خاک روبی سے ملی ہمیں مسرت، تیرے ہر زمان زمین میں ہے گلاب جیسی نگہت، تیرے جلوے حسی سے ہے خمار سب پہ تاری، تیری ہر ادا ہے پیاری، تیری ہر ادا ہے پیاری، تو ہدایتوں کا پیکر، تو ہے رحمت مجسم، تو ہے زندگی کا رہبر، تو دکھے دلوں کا مرہم، شب روز یہ دعائیں کوئی رہ نہ جائے ناری، تیری ہر ادا ہے پیاری، تیری ہر ادا ہے پیاری، تیری ہر ادا ہے پیاری، تیری شان خاک ساری، تیرے زلف عنبری پر ہو نثار بے قراری، ہو نثار بے قراری۔ منتظر تھا زمانہ نبی کے لیے، منتظر تھا زمانہ نبی کے لیے، فضل ربی ہوا دیکھتے دیکھتے، فضل ربی ہوا دیکھتے دیکھتے، منتظر تھا زمانہ نبی کے لیے، فضل ربی ہوا دیکھتے دیکھتے، دیکھتے دیکھتے، رنگ لائی جہاں میں خلیلی دعا، رنگ لائی جہاں میں خلیلی دعا، آ گئے مصطفیٰ دیکھتے دیکھتے، آ گئے مصطفیٰ دیکھتے دیکھتے، سارے نبیوں کے سردار جب آ گئے، سارے نبیوں کے سردار جب آ گئے، جتنے سردار مکہ تھے گھبرا گئے، جتنے سردار مکہ تھے گھبرا گئے، یعنی ابو جہل عتبہ شیبہ سبھی ہو گئے لاپتہ دیکھتے دیکھتے، ہو گئے لاپتہ دیکھتے دیکھتے، منتظر تھا زمانہ نبی کے لیے، فضل ربی ہوا دیکھتے دیکھتے، رنگ لائی جہاں میں خلیلی دعا، رنگ لائی جہاں میں خلیلی دعا، آ گئے مصطفیٰ دیکھتے دیکھتے، آ گئے مصطفیٰ دیکھتے دیکھتے، دیکھتے دیکھتے۔
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين How fast has Ramadan come and gone? It's 27th day today. 28, 29, maybe 30. Inshallah, I hope we get 30 days. But how fast has it come and gone? We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us overcome our sleep and slumber. Because when it comes towards the end, we start to get a bit lazy. We start to hold back a little bit. Ibn Jawzi, rahimahullah, he said, if you look at a racehorse, when a racehorse can see that he's lagging behind, then what the racehorse does, he puts all his effort in to try and get to the front and win that race. So Ibn Jawzi, rahimahullah, he says, don't let the racehorse be cleverer than you. Really push yourself, for if you haven't welcomed Ramadan as well as you should or could, perhaps you will bid farewell Ramadan better than how you welcomed it. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this the last push. Because sometimes, that Ibn Jawzi says that sometimes, your actions are based on how they concluded. And Ramadan, Imam Ahmad in his Musnad, he said, he cites a narration where the Prophet ﷺ said that Ramadan, there's been 5 things that this ummah has been given that no other ummah has been given because of Ramadan. And the last thing he mentions is that on the last night of Ramadan, Allah forgives everybody. And then the angels ask, is it Laylatul Qadr, the last night of Ramadan? And Allah replies, no. But everyone who has done what they should have done or could have done, they deserve a reward. There's another, Ibn Rajab al-Hanbali wrote a book called Lata'if al-Ma'arif, Subtleties of Knowledge, and it's the chapters of the Islamic month. So the chapter on Ramadan, the subsection on farewell Ramadan. There's another narration where he cites that in Ramadan, at the time of Iftari, Allah takes out from Jahannam 1 million souls. Every day, at the time of Iftari. Tonight is the night of Jumu'ah, and tomorrow is the day of Jumu'ah, inshallah. On every night of Jumu'ah and day, so the 24-hour period of Jumu'ah, which is Thursday night and then Friday day for us, every hour Allah frees 1 million souls from Jahannam, where Jahannam was necessary for them. So this is something that we should, these are moments where we really take advantage and really push ourselves so that we're not neglectful at these days, which, who knows, this might be our last Ramadan. In Dhuhr time, I was in Masjid Abu Bakr, and after Dhuhr there were 2 janazas taking place. We just don't know when our time is up. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we maximize our time that's left, inshallah. So I'm not going to spend much time speaking because this time is precious to engage with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But just to summarize what we've been talking about, we're talking about the elements that we can inculcate in ourselves to reach good health, be in our element. And we talked about on the first day, one of the most important things is having a rich, nutritious diet that's free from ultra-processed foods and try and go low carbohydrate. So avoid junk, avoid takeouts, avoid ultra-processed foods, chemicalized foods, wholesome, organic, homegrown, learn to cook, do it yourself. But we also discussed start the diet after Eid. Okay? Start it after Eid in time for next Ramadan and try and incorporate this during Ramadan next year, inshallah. The second thing we mentioned was the need for physical activity. So 150 minutes a week, which is 21 minutes and 40 seconds a day. And if you don't have that, what do? You wake up 10 minutes early and you go to sleep 10 minutes later and you created 20 minutes. What else could you do if you're stuck for time? Turn off your phones. Yeah, screen time. We spend 7 hours a day on our phone doing nothing. Children spend 6 hours on a screen, 2 hours on their phone doing absolutely nothing. It just kills your time, complete waste of time. Just put them away. Third thing we talked about was the importance of having emotional regulation, your mental health, making it sound, making it positive. And we spent quite a lot of detail talking about that. And linked with that is managing addictive behaviors. So trying to avoid toxic substances and managing addictive behaviors. And those 2 things are underpinned on, we talked about it, dealing with demons. So if there is a festering sore in your life, like right at the core, it's really bothering you, this is the thing that's bothering you. Because remember, a lot of things that come as like issues are just advertisements. They're just the ads. Oh, my house isn't big enough. Oh, I haven't got the right car. Oh, I want another car. oh my, this isn't right, oh I need to go on holiday. That's just adverts that the world is throwing at you. And couples argue over these things like it's, their life depends on it. That's just nonsense. But actually what really is underpinning everything is that, major arguments is that there's a major issue that the human being hasn't dealt with. And what did we mention? It's either childhood trauma, something's happened in childhood that's not been dealt with, or there's an ongoing issue in adulthood, and there's only 3 stresses in adulthood. What are they? Financial stress, career stress, relationship stress. That's it. Okay? But tackling it head on, dealing with those demons, will inshallah, the problem solved, more or less. And how do you do that? You go to the brain gym, you go and seek therapy to help you. And then the 5th thing is sleep, which we don't need a conversation about. We're pretty good at that. And then what was the 6th thing? The masala that I put in. Yeah, spirituality. Yani it's necessary. Like, look, just reflect. Ramadan's nearly over. It's really important to reflect, because what reflection does, when you reflect on anything, it consolidates what we've learned. And it's really big in the medical career that we have this process called reflective practice. The evidence shows is that when you have reflective practice, it consolidates what you've learned. So what have we learned during these 27 days? Let's be honest, how beautiful are these days and nights been? They're just absolutely beautiful, aren't they? And what is it about Ramadan that makes it beautiful? It's because our entire soul is engaged with our Maker. It's true, isn't it? Like the world can just go, as we say in England, you can just go fishing. Like I don't care about, they're just me and my Allah. Why is that important? Look, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us, you and I, He didn't just create us and then left us to ourselves. Within us, there are 2 entities. There's the soul, and then there's the nafs. Nafs is the lower self. And then what Allah also deposited with us is an angel called mulhim that inspires us to do good. And then also a devil, a shaitan, that tries to push us towards things that are wrong. The entire 11 months of the year outside of Ramadan, the balance has been really shifted. Because what we have shaitan, who has a field day every day. And remember, pardon the pun, but he's hell-bent on taking us to hell. He's made that promise to Allah. And that's his goal, and he ain't giving up. Like, he's not going to stop. Hatta up until our deathbed, he'll be there. Allah save us. But he's at us every day, day in, day out. And what he does, he calls the nafs towards things that they should not be doing. Inna nafsa la'ammaratu bis-su' illa ma rahima rabbi. The lower self is inclined towards wrong anyway. But the shaitan just eggs that nafs on. And what we discover in 11 months is that shaitan and nafs has taken over our soul and seems to have more influence on mulhim that's calling us towards good. So the balance has been lost. So what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does as a gift, it's a gift during Ramadan, is that He locks away who? Shaitan. That's one of the 5 things mentioned in the Musnad Imam Ahmad, the tradition in the Musnad, that one of the 5 things that the devils are shackled, so that the balance can be brought back again. Where you have your soul, you have mulhim, you have the barakah of Ramadan, you have Allah's rahmah in full flow to do what? To subdue that nafs. Is there a car? Yeah? Oh, I love doing this. Come on. I'm never going to get a chance again to do this. Okay, a Toyota Sierra DEHE024. Please, can you move your car? Thank you very much.
It's blocking the main entrance.
It's blocking the main entrance. So what happens is that for those 11 months where the balance has been lost, but Allah gives us this month to bring that balance back. Okay? So the nafs becomes then subdued. Why? This is why. The nafs is like a beast. The nafs is like a beast. And our ulama explain that the beast needs to be tamed. And how do you tame a beast? 2 things. Number 1, you starve it. You starve a beast, its energy is gone. And that's one of the wisdoms in Ramadan, is that we don't eat during daylight hours. But to make Ramadan really, really work, when it's time to eat, what should we do? Eat less. Otherwise, you're just feeding the beast. I haven't achieved anything. Okay? If we talked about this, we'll recap. What's our time? You're not going to call me back this much today, but I have to say it because the doctor always says what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Yeah? But what happens? We have our khajur, we have our fruit, we have our pani, zamzam, water, and so forth, right? Well, let me tell you what happens in my masjid, okay? So what happens, the adhan goes, at the back of our masjid, we've got a little area, and there's a dastakhan. And the Imam Sahib he every day there's an order of pizza, chips, chicken wings, you name it. It's just all the wrong stuff, right? And he goes, you've got 10 minutes. And the dastakhan is polished, like it's gone, right? As if, people haven't seen food before. So they've had that as a meal. Then they go home and their mum or their sister or their wife has cooked. And if you don't eat, what's going to happen? Tappar, right? So you have to eat, right? So they scoff away, right? Then they're like, bloated, it's completely smashed, right? And then it's time for Tarawih, right? So I'm going to be standing for 2 hours. So they go and eat what's left over because there's so much left over, right? Then they go for Tarawih, and after Tarawih they step outside and they go, let's go Chachi Chai. Or let's go Krispy Kreme donuts or Tim Hortons. And they'll go and get there, and they'll scoff again. How many meals have you had in one day, including Sahri? You've eaten 5 times. That's why studies have shown that the weight of the Muslim goes up after Ramadan. So you've got to tame the beast. And the way you do that is by, obviously we don't eat during daylight hours, but when it's time to eat, you eat less. The second thing that we do to tame that beast that Allah imposes on us, not just outside of Ramadan, but in Ramadan. But in Ramadan there's more of an imposition because our soul is inclined towards it. And what is it? What is it? It's the weight that you put on the beast. So if you want to subdue a beast, you starve it, but you also give it jobs to do. You put a weight on it. So it's a little bit, the back is bent a little bit. It's not as strong. What's the weight that's put on the nafs? The nafs doesn't like it. It's ibadah. The nafs doesn't like ibadah. The soul loves it, but the nafs doesn't like to do it. But in Ramadan, you're like in autopilot, aren't you? I forget 5th gear, you're in 6th gear. You guys get that in Canada? Or is it all automatic? Automatic, yeah. But you got manual? Yeah, that's good. So it's like you're in 6th gear, you just go for it. And there's no haraj, there's no difficulty in doing it, isn't it? You've got people, think about it, you've got people who don't pray the whole year, but they manage to stand in Tarawih for 2 hours every day. You've got people who do not come to the masjid the whole year, but they can't leave in Ramadan. You've got people, let's be honest, you've got people who don't pray during the year, but they happily fast in Ramadan and pray their 5 times namaz in the masjid. You've got people who do not touch the book of Allah the whole year. In the Ramadan, can't let it go. Why? Because of the barakah of this month. But what that does, that subdues the nafs. And then what happens is, our ulama explain, is that the soul rises. And when the soul rises, that's when you really feel alive. That's when you what? When you really feel alive. Why? Because everything that the soul calls to outside of Ramadan, it happens in Ramadan less so, but more so outside of Ramadan, what it calls to is what our ulama call, it's not a real want that your soul wants. What they mean by that is that, look, it's a black hole, it's an endless pit. There's only so much you can eat. It's true, isn't it? You see it all the time. People buy their dream home, within a few days they're not happy. They look at something else, I could get that, and then they want to get their other big home. They've got their cars parked up in, the adverts that we talked about before. They've got the cars parked up, I want another one. They're never happy with their attire, there's something else. They've been on this, this is something else I need to do. It's an endless pit. And the nafs is perpetually thirsty for more, but you will never be able to fulfill it. Never. And then life will pass by, and what we'll miss out on is the joy of the intimacy with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because that's what we get in Ramadan, it's true, isn't it? The joy of intimacy with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but it's missed on those 11 months. So the hack is that when we maximize Ramadan, what we should do is use it as a springboard for after Ramadan. This is a dua that our ulama taught us. Our teachers used to teach us that make this dua before the end of Ramadan. Allah, make my days and nights of Ramadan every day. Make my days and nights of Ramadan, make that every day for me. The a'mal that I do in Ramadan, make that every day for me. What do you think will happen? For the 11 months, every day is like Ramadan, and you'll be on fire. Like nothing stopping you. And then imagine next Ramadan, you'll increase. You'll increase. And then you ask Allah that Ramadan, every Ramadan, what will happen every year is that you'll just increase. And what you would have never imagined of achieving between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you'll achieve. وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. Those who strive in our path, we will make it happen. That's lamut ta'keed. That is going to happen. So this is the message is that this is the last literally few hours. And this could be our last. You know, before I was speaking to my family and my wife's khala, the doctors have said, you know, say your salams, time's up. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah blesses her with a blessed death in Ramadan. And we hope that she, you know, that she does have a blessed death in Ramadan. And you know, if she does, subhanAllah, hani Allah is amazing, isn't it? You know, the doors of Jahannam are closed. She was very simple, but and she didn't have, you know, if from a dunya point of view, she didn't have much, but she had the biggest heart. She was so generous. And it reminded me of Harith ibn Nu'man radiallahu anhu, who was a Sahabi Badri, and towards the end of his life he became blind. So in his house, you know, every granddad has like a granddad chair. You know that chair? This is my chair, no one sit in my chair. He had one of those chairs. But what he had a string attached to his chair that would lead to the door. And for one reason and one reason only. Because he was blind, he couldn't see. When someone knocked on the door, at the time of the Sahaba, that generation, there was no ring bell, doorbell where you could see who was outside. People would say what they want. So knock on the door, and if somebody said shay'an lillah, it means it's a beggar. Have you got anything for the sake of Allah for me? So what he would do when he'd hear knock on the door, man, and someone would say shay'an lillah, have you got anything for Allah? What he would do, he'd pull the string, and he's blind, he can't see. He'd make his way to the door like this. And then he'd open the door and he'd give a gold coin and he'd go back again. And his family would say, let me help, let us help. He said, no, let me do this on my own. We'll give the money for you. No, let me do it on my own. And they asked him why. And he said, because my Habib Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said to me that giving charity with your own hand prevents a human being from having a wretched death. So even though he was blind, he made it upon himself to figure out a way where still he would have to do that. And my wife's khala was ridiculously, even though she had little, she was so generous. So anyway, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that these last few moments, make a promise between you and your maker. Yes, your maker, the one who made you. Make a promise. Okay, Allah, I'm going to try my best to let go of things that I know I should not be doing. I'm going to try my best to what? To let go of things that I know, and we all have it. I have it. You have it, I have it. Everyone has their own, demons between them and Allah that they know they shouldn't be doing. Okay, but you make a promise to Allah, Allah, I'm done with this life now. That's it, I'm done. You know why? Because people, like clinically, in my clinic, if you've got someone who smokes, vapes, does drugs, drinks alcohol, has a terrible diet, etc., when they say, I'm done, no more, they're the ones who achieve what they want to achieve. You know that all or nothing. So you say to Allah, I'm done with this. I'm not going to do this anymore. This thing that I'm doing that's wrong, I'm not doing it. You need to help me. Insha'Allah, Allah will help. Allah will help. And then that's number one. Number two, impose upon yourself something in terms of worship that you promise between you and Allah, that you're going to promise to do this regularly between now and the next Ramadan. Whatever it is. For example, if you're not praying, make a promise to Allah, I'm going to do 5 times. By next Ramadan, I'm going to be doing my 5 times salah. If you're praying 5 times a day, make a promise to Allah, by next Ramadan, I will perform all my sunan. If you're performing all your sunan, you say, Allah, by next Ramadan, I'm going to do extra. I'm going to wake up for qiyam, or I'm going to pray duha, or I'm going to pray awabin. If this is your first Ramadan of fasting, and you managed all 30, Mubarak, make a promise to Allah that for the rest of my life, I will not miss Ramadan. If you're someone who hasn't been for Hajj and you've got the means of doing it, make a promise to Allah that I'm going. If you haven't paid your zakat, make a promise to Allah that from now I'm going to pay my zakat, and anything that's due upon me, I'm going to pay as well. But if, say for example, you've not picked up the book of Allah, Make a promise to Allah that no matter what, I'm going to learn 1 page a day. You know, there was a brother, he passed away, and his grave was, perfume was coming out of his grave. Perfume was coming out of his grave. So some of the scholars went to the person who passed, went to his house and asked his wife, what did he do? Because it's not usual to have perfume coming out of somebody's grave, especially in our generation. He said, what did he do? He said, he didn't do anything special. He prayed his namaz, he fasted in Ramadan, he did Hajj, there was nothing special, but he had one thing that he did. At night time, every night, he'd pick up the Quran, and he couldn't read a word of Arabic. Right? He couldn't read. But he'd pick up the Quran, and just 1 page a day, he would say, he'd put his finger on the mushaf, on the lines of the Quran, on the pages of the Quran, and each line he'd say this, Allah, I have no idea what this says, but I believe it's true. Allah, I have no idea what this says. I can't read Arabic, but I believe it's true. Allah, and he'd do this every day. And there was 2 lads, right? You know, when you're young, you do some really dumb things, don't you? There was 2 lads, right? They went to Qabristan to pay their respects to their loved one. And then from a grave on the side, they heard the sound of Quran coming from the grave. This was in the Arab countries. So there it's just sand, isn't it, and dust. So these 2 young lads decided, this is coming from a grave. Let's dig it up. So they started digging the grave up, right? And they got to the bricks. And then he pulled one of them, go on, do it. Pulled the brick. And they saw this light, this nur. And then they took a peek, and sat in the grave is a young boy dressed in white with a mushaf reciting Quran. And these 2 lads froze, because that's going to freak you out, isn't it? Like seeing that in real time is like, what have I done? Right? So they froze, right? And then the young boy in the grave, he looked up and he said, Ataqumu sa'a? Is it Yawm al-Qiyamah? And these 2 kids freaked out, put the brick right back and then ran. You see, even the point is that as long as you're sincere, as long as we're sincere in what we do, it doesn't matter what capacity you do it. For that man who had no idea what he was saying, look what Allah gave him as a natija. You understand? It doesn't matter as long as you're sincere with Allah and you make that push. Start like that. Inshallah, look, once you start, Allah will get you to where you want to be. And sometimes you can't. Like there was one sister, she mother of 2-3 children, busy looking after home, work life, etc., etc. She got this. She's in her 30s. She got this josh from nowhere, from Allah, obviously, right? But out of nowhere, this josh came, and she memorized the Quran in 140 days. That's next level, isn't it? This young boy near where we live during the first COVID lockdown, he said, I got bored. He picked up the Quran in the first lockdown, and in 9 months he memorized the Quran. Another brother, he came to Hazrat, Rahimullah. He finished his Alimiya course in Darul Berry, and he said to Hazrat, he says, I'm staying here for a bit longer because I haven't done Hifz. So can I read my first sabak to you? So Hazrat Rahimullah said to him, you can read every sabak to me on one condition. He said, huh? What? He goes, you have to memorize a 1/4 juz a day. That's the shart for Hazrat Rahimullah said, every day I listen to your sabak, but you learn a 1/4 juz a day. So this young brother was like, that's it, man, I'm not going to get this chance again. Can you imagine Hazrat listening to your sabak? I mean, what an honor. So every day Hazrat Rahimullah listened to his sabak, and Hazrat told us, he said in 90 days he finished his Quran. How many days? 90 days. This is a grown man. I'm only saying this to give you hope. Okay? My 2 younger brothers both did their hijj. And then when I was 33, 33, my father, just out of nowhere, he said to me, listen, Yahya and Ishaq have both done their hifz, and you're the only one that hasn't. He said, before I die, make sure you finish your hifz. Right? Before I die. So I froze. I was like, oh, that's a hukm, isn't it? And your dad says to you, do. And I thought, so my father has only ever told me, go get a loaf of bread is not really a hukm. It's just like, yeah, okay, I'll get you something. But serious stuff. He's only ever told me to do 2 things in my life. Career was like, whatever you want to do, just make sure you do it properly. And do it because you want to do it. No other reason. So And, and he said, oh, so I thought, oh my God, I better start. So I went to Hazrat Rahimullah, I said, and he said, Bahut acha, shuru karo. Alhamdulillah, I'm in my mid-30s. I said to my wife, I'm starting my hifz. Can you leave me alone? She said, one condition. I said, what? She goes, after you finish your hifz, I'm going to rinse you. Like, you can't say no. Alhamdulillah, in 14 months, I finished my hifz. Bi tawfiq. You understand? So if this is like a useless human being like me, I was 33, 34 when I finished. Full-time doctor. Of course anybody can do it. Allah says, وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ الذِّكْرِ فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. We've made the Quran easy to remember. Who's ready? Make yourself ready. Inshallah it will happen. But the point being is that choose something good that you commit to for this year, build on it, max it out, and then next year choose something else. Next year, time flies. Before you know it, but anywhere you'll be between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why am I saying this to you? Bhaiyo, listen, when it's time to go, and sisters who are listening, nothing else matters. I was looking at these 2 janazas today. I was looking thinking, subhanAllah, Allah's given me everything. He's made me a millionaire. He's given me everything in life. Alhamdulillah, we ask Allah for mazid and afiyah and barakah. But when I go, nothing is going to come with me apart from what? My deeds. Nothing else. Alexander the Great, he was one of the few human beings who ruled the entire world. You know, when he died, when he's on his deathbed, he said to his close ones around him, when you bury me, make sure you put my hands out like this, outstretched and bare. And the people around him were like, what? What a bizarre request. He said, why? He said, I want the world to know that when it's time to go, I'm empty-handed. Did you get me? I'm empty-handed. And the only thing that's going to come with us is our actions, good or bad. And then that's it. And then it's eternity. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to really max out these next few hours that's left, put our phones away, make a few promises to Allah that I'm going to stop doing these things that I shouldn't be doing, and I'm going to do these things that I should be doing, and I'm going to rectify myself, inshallah. I'm going to be good to you, Allah, and I'm going to be good to the people around me. I'm going to make a difference to somebody's life. I'm going to make a difference to my community, to my neighborhood, to the world. I'm going to do you proud. They're the sort of conversations you want to have with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and inshallah, watch what will happen. Allah will open doors for you that you would never have imagined. There was one brother, he became Muslim, mashallah. Within 1 year, he memorized the Quran. The next year, he mastered Arabic. You see the possibilities. These are the things that are going to benefit you in the akhirah. There's one brother, he became, near where we live, he became Muslim. He's been in the Muslim world for 20 years, a sheikh now, and mashallah, the work that he's doing is incredible. So the possibilities are just, when you've got Allah, Allah's got your back, the world is yours. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for tawfiq. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for enabling grace to give us the tawfiq to change, be better than how we were before Ramadan, for after Ramadan. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to include us in those who He gives complete forgiveness before the month ends, inshallah ta'ala. We'll stop there, inshallah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفرك وأتوب إليك وصلى الله على